Los Angeles, 1981. A crowd is screaming on Wilshire Boulevard. 9 stories below a narrow concrete ledge, a 21-year-old man sits with his legs dangling over the edge. His name is Joe. He's been there for hours. The police have surrounded the building. Psychologists have tried talking to him through a bullhorn. Nothing's working. The drop is 100 feet of empty air, then pavement. Police officers lean carefully out the window behind him, pleading. But Joe won't move. He won't look back. He just stares down at the street below, waiting for the moment when his fear will fade enough to let go. And then, something impossible happens. A massive figure in a dark suit steps through the window. The crowd gasps. Even from 9 stories up, people recognize that face, that unmistakable presence. It's Muhammad Ali. The 3-time heavyweight champion of the world is climbing out onto a 9-inch ledge 100 feet above the street to save a stranger's life. How did we get here? Let's go back a few hours. It started that morning. Joe had locked himself in a 9th-floor office on Wilshire Boulevard. Nobody knew how he got in. Nobody knew his last name. But when the police arrived, he was already out on that ledge, sitting on the edge of the world, ready to end his pain the only way he could imagine. The Los Angeles Police Department set up a perimeter immediately. Traffic stopped. Crowds gathered on the sidewalks below, staring up. Some people were crying. Others were filming with cameras. A few were yelling for him to come back inside, but their voices just echoed off the buildings and disappeared into the smog. The police brought in crisis negotiators, trained professionals who'd talked dozens of people off ledges just like this one. They leaned out the window. They kept their voices calm. They asked Joe about his family. They asked what was hurting him. They promised him help. They promised him hope. Joe didn't respond. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher. The pavement below shimmered with heat. Joe just sat there, motionless, his white shirt clinging to his back with sweat, his fingers gripping the edge of the concrete. The police chaplain arrived. He was a kind man with a gentle voice. He talked about God. He talked about second chances. He talked about the people who loved Joe and needed him to come home. Joe still didn't move. By early afternoon, the situation was hopeless. The police couldn't physically grab him, not without risking pushing him off. They couldn't wait much longer. The heat was brutal. Joe was exhausted, dehydrated. His grip was weakening. One of the officers radioed headquarters. "We need a miracle," he said. And then, across town, Muhammad Ali heard about it. Ali was at the Sunset Marquis Hotel. He'd just finished a meeting with his manager when someone mentioned the standoff happening on Wilshire Boulevard. A young man on a ledge. The police were out of options. Ali didn't hesitate. He stood up. He told his manager to drive him there immediately. His manager tried to argue, tried to say the police had it under control, tried to say it wasn't Ali's place to get involved. Ali wasn't listening. He was already walking toward the door. They got in the car. Ali told his manager to hurry. When they hit traffic on Wilshire, Ali told him to drive the wrong way down a one-way street. Horns blared. People shouted. Ali didn't care. There was a kid on a ledge who needed help. And Ali had spent his entire life refusing to back down when someone needed him. When they arrived at the scene, police officers tried to stop him. "Sir, you can't go in there. This is a restricted area." Ali pushed past them. His manager flashed credentials. Someone recognized the champ and waved him through. Ali walked into the building. He took the elevator to the 9th floor. When the doors opened, he stepped into a dim hallway that smelled like old carpet and fear. Police officers lined the walls. Their faces were tight with stress. They'd been there for hours, watching a young man prepare to die, and they couldn't do anything to stop it. Ali walked down that hallway like he was walking into the ring. Calm, focused, unshakable. He'd fought George Foreman in the jungle. He'd fought Joe Frazier in Manila. He'd stared down the United States government when they tried to draft him into a war he didn't believe in. He wasn't afraid of a 9-story drop. But this wasn't about fear. This was about something bigger than boxing, bigger than fame. Ali had always believed his celebrity was a gift from God, and gifts were meant to be used to help people who were suffering.
He reached the window. An officer briefed him quickly. "The kid's name is Joe. He's 21. He's been out there since this morning. We've tried everything." Ali nodded. He looked out the window, and for the first time, he saw the ledge. It was terrifyingly narrow. 9 inches of concrete, 100 feet of empty space below it, and sitting on that ledge, his legs hanging over the edge, his shoulders slumped forward, was Joe. Ali took a breath. Then he climbed out the window. The crowd below erupted. People were pointing. The greatest boxer who ever lived was standing on a ledge 9 stories above the street with nothing between him and the pavement but air. Ali didn't look down. He looked at Joe. "Joe, my name is Muhammad Ali." Joe glanced over. His eyes were red. His face was streaked with tears and sweat. He looked at Ali like he was seeing a ghost. Ali spoke softly, not the booming voice he used to taunt opponents in the ring, not the playful bravado he used with reporters. This was different. This was the voice of a man who understood pain, who'd been broken down and built back up, who knew what it felt like to lose everything and find a reason to keep going. "Joe, I'm your brother. I love you, and I wouldn't lie to you." The ledge was so narrow that Ali had to press his back against the building. The wind tugged at his jacket. His hands gripped the window frame behind him. One wrong move, one slip, and both of them would fall. But Ali didn't flinch. He told Joe about his own struggles, the times he'd felt lost, the times he'd been stripped of his title, the times he'd wondered if God had abandoned him. He talked about the darkness that comes when the world turns its back on you and how hard it is to believe that things will ever get better. Joe was listening now. His shoulders were shaking. Tears were streaming down his face. Ali kept talking. He told Joe that no pain lasts forever, that every storm eventually breaks, that God puts us on this earth for a reason, and Joe's reason wasn't finished yet. "I know you're hurting," Ali said. "I know it feels like you can't go on, but I promise you, Joe, there are people who love you. There's a future waiting for you. You just have to trust me. You just have to take my hand." The wind picked up. The crowd below had gone silent. Everyone was holding their breath. Ali extended his hand toward Joe. It was the same hand that had knocked out Sonny Liston. The same hand that had beaten George Foreman. The same hand that had been raised in victory in front of millions of people around the world. But right now, on this ledge, it was just a hand reaching out to a suffering young man who needed someone to pull him back from the edge. Joe stared at Ali's hand. Seconds passed. It felt like hours. And then, Joe reached out. Their fingers touched. Ali's massive hand closed around Joe's wrist. He pulled, gently at first, then firmer. Joe leaned toward him. Ali wrapped his other arm around Joe's shoulders. He pulled him close, held him tight, and slowly, carefully, guided him back through the window. The crowd below erupted in cheers. Police officers rushed forward to help, but Ali didn't let go. He held Joe in his arms, this broken, trembling young man, and he whispered in his ear, "You're gonna be okay, brother. I promise. You're gonna be okay." Joe collapsed against Ali's chest. Ali held him. The police tried to take Joe into custody, tried to get into a hospital, but Ali refused to let them rush him. He stayed with Joe. He spoke to him softly. He made sure Joe knew he wasn't alone. And then, Ali did something even more remarkable. He told the police he was taking Joe to the hospital himself. He walked Joe down the hallway. He put him in his own car. He sat beside him in the back seat, holding his hand, talking to him the entire drive. When they arrived at the hospital, Ali stayed with Joe until the doctors took over. He gave Joe his phone number. He told him to call any time he needed someone to talk to. And then, quietly, Muhammad Ali slipped away. The story made headlines the next day. Newspapers around the world carried photos of Ali on that ledge. Reporters called it a miracle. They called it heroic. They called it the most incredible thing they'd ever witnessed. But Ali didn't do interviews about it. He didn't brag. He didn't turn it into a publicity stunt. When reporters asked him why he risked his life for a stranger, Ali just said, because he needed help. That's who Muhammad Ali was. The world remembers him for his speed, his power, his ability to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. They remember the trash talk, the predictions, the fights that changed the sport forever.
But on January 14th, 1981, Muhammad Ali proved something more important than any championship belt could ever represent. He proved that true strength isn't measured by how hard you can hit. It's measured by how gently you can hold someone who's falling apart. It's measured by your willingness to risk everything, not for glory, but for a stranger who needs you. Joe lived. He got the help he needed. He went on to build a life worth living. And every year on the anniversary of that day, he would call Muhammad Ali to say thank you. Muhammad Ali died in 2016. The world mourned the loss of the greatest boxer who ever lived. But his legacy isn't just about the fights he won. It's about the lives he saved, the injustices he fought, the courage he showed when the world told him to stay silent. It's about a 9-inch ledge on Wilshire Boulevard and a young man named Joe who was given a second chance because Muhammad Ali refused to let him go. That's the greatest victory of all.